Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video. And today I thought I would do a brush slash makeup tool declutter for you. I realized that I hadn't filmed that when I filmed all my other declutters, which I filmed before I even moved, but I thought, well, I have so many brushes and so many that I don't use. I've laid out all of my face brushes for you. I'm going to lay out my eye brushes for you in a minute, and I have a like a travel brush kit that I use whenever I go somewhere. So I figured that I would go through it in those different stages and take you through my declutter. Over here we have blush brushes. These are like concealer type brushes. This brush came with a set which has like sponge tip applicators. Then these are like sponges and all that. And then here I have my like contour brushes, highlight brushes. These are the ones that I like to use for bronzer sometimes. These are all powder brushes, including this one. And then these are foundation brushes. And that's what I pretty much have. And I think I can edit this down a little bit because there are definitely brushes here that I don't use. So if I look at my blush brushes, then the one that's dirty, which is the Real Techniques blush brush, this is my favorite blush brush. That's why it's dirty, because I use it every single day, and I have to definitely give this a bit of a wash as well. But this is one of my favorite brushes, so I can't get rid of that. I also like using a more fluffy blush brush for blushes that are a little bit more intense, and this is the Zoeva Lux Sheer Cheek Brush in 127, and I like this one for that a lot, so I use that whenever I have one of those lying around. But these three brushes I don't really use very often. I kind of like this one. This is also a Real Techniques brush. The name has worn off, so I can't tell you anymore what it is, but I think it was like a sculpting brush or something. But this is actually really nice for blending in cream blushes as well, so I want to keep that for that. But these two, I'm not really sure what to do with these because I find them a little bit small. This is an Up and Up brush, which you can find in Target in the US. And this is a Sigma Duo Fiber Powder Blush. This is the F15. And it's just a little bit small, I found. And I don't really like using stippling brushes all that much anymore, apart from like for bronzer, which we'll get to in a minute. And I already have an angled blush brush right now that I like a little bit more than this one. So I think I can get rid of these two. Then if we move on to concealer right here, then again, my favorite is this Real Techniques brush. This is the setting brush. This you can use to set your under eye area with powder, but I like to use it for blending out my concealer. Works very well for that, and it's very quick. And recently I've been also loving this one. This is from a set that I bought at Action for like €3, and it has a really nice size, and I really like this for concealer as well, so I want to keep that. And my first favorite concealer brush was this, and this is the Deluxe Crease brush by Real Techniques, so I can't get rid of that, I find, either. And then this brush is from the Body Shop, and it's one of those standard paddle foundation brushes, and even though I never use these all that often, I do think it is a nice staple to have in your makeup collection, and this is a very good quality one too, so I can't get rid of that. Then this is a Laura Geller brush that was part of a set that I bought, and it has sponge tip applicators, and I have no clue what to do with this, so this is gonna go. Then when it comes to sponges, I have one beauty blender. I have a Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, and I just recently bought these two from Primark, which I wanted to try. They feel a little dense, but they do also have a nice bouncy quality to it. So I hope that they soften up a little bit when I wet them, but I'm not sure. And this is the Siliconic Silla Sponge version of Catrice, and I don't like this at all. So this is gonna go. These I want to keep. Then starting on this side right here, so the sculpting brushes, again, I have one favorite that I have two of, and that is the e.l.f. Small Stipple Brush. I love this to contour. It's very small, gets right underneath my cheekbones, and it really diffuses the color very nicely, so you never end up with like a streaky look. So I like this, and I also have one that I like to use when I want to apply cream highlighter or cream bronzer, so that's why I have two of those. But then we have these three. I have a Makeup Revolution brush, which I bought because it looked cool. Again, this is a very dense brush. I think this will be good for like blending out like a cream bronzer as well, but I have no use for this, so this can go. And then I have something similar like the other one by Makeup Revolution. This is a sculpting brush by Real Techniques, and I do have to say that I really like this. Again, for cream products, this is a very nice brush. And I'm not sure if you can see this, but this is a lot more dense, this one by Makeup Revolution, than this one. This is a bit more give to it, so I prefer that. And then this brush I used to use quite a bit when I didn't have anything else for contour and highlight, but I have to say that this contour brush by Real Techniques has been kind of lying around my stash for the past 2 years or so, because I found brushes that I like better for applying contour and highlight, so this one can go. Speaking of highlight, I have 2 highlight brushes, and I think I'm going to keep it at that. This is the Real Techniques fan brush. It's a little dinky, I see now. It's got a little splayed in the little container where I keep it. But this is just handy if you have a very intense highlight and you don't want it to be too intense on your cheeks. This is a great one. This is my everyday highlight brush. It is a designated highlight brush by Zoeva, and this is the 105 Luxe Highlight. And it's nice and fluffy, and I find it distributes the perfect amount. And these 3 brushes I like to use for bronzer. This is my newest brush, so I'm not going to get rid of this. I used to have a Sigma duo fiber brush that I used. It fell apart over the summer, and I wanted to buy something similar, but I thought, why not try something else? So this is a crown brush, and this is the C406 duo face, large duo face. And this is very nice, actually. I do have to say that it got better by, with every use, and this is just a really nice way to sheer out a bronzer. I'm very fair skinned, so using very intense bronzers can be a bit on my skin, so this is a nice one to sheer out most of the bronzers that are a little bit too dark for me. And then this is another up and up brush, and this is a powder brush, but I love this for bronzer in the summertime. It is a little bit more dense, so it distributes more product than this does, but I have certain bronzers that this works so well with, so I can't get rid of that. And then this one by Real Techniques, this is the Duo Fiber Face Brush, and it's just, if you compare these, I mean, this is very round and sort of like evenly distributed over the top, whereas this one is just very thin and it really shears out. So I find this doesn't pick up enough product, it doesn't really blend it onto my face. All it does is streak my makeup, so this is one that, again, I'm going to get rid of. So then we move on to powder brushes, and I tend to use all of these, not on a daily basis, but I definitely have a use for all of them. This is my everyday powder brush. This is the Sigma Flat Kabuki F80. This is a flat kabuki brush, and a lot of people like this for foundation, but I really love this for powder. It really packs it on and sort of like semi-bakes your makeup. And then I like to use this Sigma brush, and this is the F25 tapered face brush, so it's a very like pointy brush, and I like to then go over my face with this brush to sort of wipe away the excess. So this is a nice little duo to use. And then this little e.l.f. Kabuki brush I love to use with my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the summertime. That is my go-to face powder in the summer, and this is the brush that applies it best, I find. So this definitely only gets used about 3 months out of the year, but I do use it. And then this one I like to use as well. This is an Eco Tools brush. There is no name on it. There used to be a name on it, but it's worn off, I'm afraid. And I really like using this to sheer out any bronzer or blush. Like if my cheek look is a little too intense, or if I want to blend it together a little bit more, I like to use a bare brush for that. And this is very nice and wispy. It is big, it is duo fiber, and this is just a very nice soft brush that does that very well. And then this powder brush used to be my first powder brush I ever used. And this is, again, a very nice one if you want to use like a loose powder. It really nicely picks up that perfect amount of product, and you can really sort of like dab it onto the skin then because of the shape. So I really like this as well. And this is by The Body Shop, and this is just a very old one. My very first brush set was a brush roll from The Body Shop, and this was in there. Then for foundation brushes, I tend to be a little bit OG and I like to use a brush to apply my foundation. This very beat up Sigma brush, this is the F82 Kabuki brush, as you can see is incredibly dirty, even though I do spot clean it on a regular basis and wash it every time. But this is my go-to foundation brush. It is a very dense, round, small Kabuki brush, and I find that this blends my foundation in a little bit more easily than the flat one. So I love using that. Now this one is one that I use if this one is being washed and it still needs to dry. I go back to the Real Techniques buffing brush. This is great for foundation as well, but I find that this is a little bit scratchy at times. It is a very nice brush. I do have to say, if you're on a budget and you don't want to go for the Sigma one, buy the set that has this one in it, because it is a great brush, especially if you're starting out with makeup. Now then I have two of these like paddle brushes. This one is brand new. This is from Primark and I haven't tried it yet. This one is from that action set I just mentioned. I love this. I use this for months on end. I started using this and couldn't stop using it, and then I went back to my Sigma one. So I love that, but I was looking for one that was a little bit bigger. So that's why I went with the Primark one, to see how that goes, because this is already very quick and easy to blend your foundation, but I think this will be even quicker. So I'm definitely going to have to compare these two to see which one I like best. And then we have another Eco Tools brush. This is the Skin Perfecting brush, and this is supposed to, I think, be for like buffing things in, but I find this thing is so dense and so hard and stiff that it just wipes my makeup away rather than it actually does anything else. So that's why I'm going to get rid of this one. So this is a separate little part where I'm going to go over my travel brush set. All of the white, there's my sweater. All of the white brushes in this selection came in this little pouch, and it is a set that you can buy all together from a shop called Boozy Shop. They have their own brush range. And I have to say that I use this quite a bit, which is why they're all dirty. I definitely need to clean these before my next travels. And I just found that the set wasn't all that complete, especially in the eye brush department. So I substituted in some other brushes just so I can do a full face of makeup. And so I definitely had to substitute in a couple of brushes so that it was a little bit more complete. And after now having used this sufficiently for more than a year every single time I travel, I just find that I don't like all the brushes that are in here. So that's a bit of a bummer. So I'm definitely going to have to get rid of a few of these and then substitute perhaps with some of the brushes that I don't use on a daily basis and put them in here. So I put in these two Eco Tools eye brushes. This came in a little set that I bought in the UK, and it has two dual-ended brushes, one with like a smudger and an angled brush, and then more of like a blendy one or like a crease brush. And then there's this like more like standard eyeshadow brush for packing on shadow. These are great eyeshadow brushes, and I really love these for travel because you don't need to take that many with you because they're double-ended. I put in this Urban Decay double-sided one. I think that came in like one of their palettes, because I do like these little brushes, and this is a little bit better for blending, I find. But I think I'm going to find another brush that I don't use so very often and put that in as a blending brush instead of this. So I am going to keep this because it belongs to one of my palettes, but I'm going to keep it take it out of this set. Then a brush that I really don't like in this set is the Round Concealer Buffer Brush. This thing is just so long, and it cakes up all of your products so badly, and it's just super streaky, so I don't like this. So that I put in this e.l.f. complexion brush for powder in this kit. This used to be my powder brush before I had too many of the Sigma brushes, and I do really like this brush, and it's great for powdering, so keeping that. And then this little brush here is the Precision Powder brush, and this is the one that I use for bronzer when I'm using this kit. And I also really like the blush brush that is in here. This is actually an angled contour brush, but I find that this is a great little blush brush. I don't really like these two. So this is a Precision Flat Contour, and I find that it's just a little too small, and it's very flimsy, so it doesn't really do much of anything for my contour. And then this one is the Face Shaper, and I use this for highlighter the most, but again, this is just a little bit too stiff. So Perhaps I should use this for contour and then this for highlight. Perhaps I should change it around, but I just don't really like these two. And then we have the round buffer brush, and this is the one that I've been using for foundation with this, and I find that this is too, well, not densely enough packed. It's got a little bit too much give to it. It takes ages to blend out my foundation, so I'm not going to be using this anymore. And then we have a few little eye brushes. This is the soft blender brush. And I kind of like this, but it's a little bit small to be blending anything. And I prefer the brushes of the EcoTool set. So I put that one, I don't like that one too much. This is the crease shader, and this is actually a really nice pointy brush. And this is great for the lower lash line, so I do want to keep that. And then there are two angled brushes in this. And then one is the brow liner, and that's a little bit stiff and it's a little bit thick, I find. And then there is a wing liner brush, and that is just so flimsy that you can't use it. So these three I'm also getting rid of. I have the last part of my brush collection, and these are all of my eyeshadow brushes and like smaller brushes that very often came with something. I have a lot of eyeshadow brushes that actually came with sets. Two of these are Anastasia. One is by The Balm. This one I'm going to get rid of because I've never ever used it, and it's very small, so I'm afraid to lose that as well. And then these are little Chanel brushes, which again, not sure if you can see that, but these I have no use for, so those are going to go. The Anastasia ones I quite like, actually. They have a very nice fluffy brush, as well as a bit of a smaller brush on the other end. So I think I'm going to put one of these with my travel makeup brushes, and I'm just going to keep the other one. And then these are all of my Urban Decay brushes that came with palettes, so I can't get rid of these. I always take them out because I find they fall out whenever I open the palette. But I'm just going to keep these because they belong to all the palettes that I have. Then here I have a little travel like kabuki brush that no longer has a lid, so I'm going to get rid of this. I think it was by H&M, I'm not sure. I just thought it looked cute, which is why I bought it, but it's just a little scratchy. And then here I also have a little brush that came with a Chanel blush, and I'm going to keep it because it does come in this nice little velvet pouch. I just think that's a pretty little thing that, even though it's not very useful, I still think it looks pretty. This is a little puff that came with a Bobbi Brown powder. I never use these kind of puffs, so this can go. And then I have one H&M little kabuki brush, and this is actually very soft. So this is another good one that I might be able to use for like highlight or contour. So I'm going to put this with my travel makeup. And I'm also going to be taking one of these Dior brushes. These come with Dior face products. And again, I think these are perfect for like applying highlight or a bit of contour. I just need to find the softest one. I think it's this brown one. And then I'm going to get rid of the other ones because I never use these. They're just, you know, wasting away my stash. So I'm going to use this one in my travel makeup. And then we have all of the other brushes left. This is my section of like standard blending brushes. One of these I use on a daily basis. This is by Hema, and I use this to apply a light eyeshadow all over my lid to set my primer. And yeah, so this one can go. And I have a backup of that as well. This is a brand new one, even though... And then these two brushes I use quite often. This one I love to use as, you know, applying a little bit of a blend shade above my crease. And this is the Zoeva Looks Defined Crease Brush. This is a 224. I love that. And this is the Sigma E40, and this is a really nice blending brush as well. So if I want to have more of an intense blend, then I use that one. I have one spoolie, so this one I need to keep. This is by Hema. And then I have my little like angled brushes, and again I do like to use this one to apply eyeshadow as eyeliner, and this one I love to use with a brow pomade. This one is by Essence, this one is by Hema, so I will be keeping those. But these two, this one by Real Techniques is actually quite a painful one because it's very dense and very stiff, but it's supposed to be an eyeliner brush, but it works really well with eyebrow powders, I find. So I do want to keep it for that, even though I'm not currently using a product like that. It's good to have a brush like that. And this is the Real Techniques brow brush, and this is just way too big, so I'm going to get rid of that. Moving to this section then, these are my more detailed brushes, like smudger brushes and all that, and I don't have that many. This is my inner corner highlight brush, and like for more detailed work, this is a Sigma E30. I have an Essence brush. This is a smoky eyes brush. I believe they still do this. This is great for the lower lash line, as well as this older Sephora brush. They redid their brush line since then, but this is a smudger brush that I've had for years and it still works. And this is an e.l.f. blending eye brush, and this is great if you want more of a smoky look on your lower lash line as well. So I'm going to be keeping those because I use those on a nearly daily basis. And then moving down these ones, these are my crease brushes, or like blending crease brushes, you could say. These are all a little bit more pointy. This is the Crown C13, and this is the Sigma E45. These are very similar in what they do, and I like to use these interchangeably because I use a brush like this almost every day. These are great for blending out the crease, I find, and they also work really well for applying shadow. This is my favorite brush to apply some eyeshadow in the outer V. This is the Zoeva Petite Crease. This is the 231. And then these brushes are sort of like my MAC 217 type of brushes. This is a MAC 217, again for applying color in the crease and for a nice diffused look. This is a great one. So I want to keep that. Then I have the Real Techniques angled shadow brush, and this is like a very nice and easy brush as well to also get into the crease. You can angle this to really touch the skin everywhere. So for blending or applying color in the crease, I don't use this every single day, but if you want to do something very specific, I find this works really well. And then I have two base shadow brushes, and again, the reason why I have these and use these is to replace my MAC 217 if it's a little bit too dirty. And these are also great to apply just a wash of color onto the lid. So if I go for a one shadow look, those are great too. And yeah, so I keep both of those in my daily stash as well. Then this last one is an Abelin brush. You can find this in the German drugstore. This is the only brush I have by this brand, but I don't really like it very much. I've never really used this. I've used it a few times, but it has a very funny shape and I don't really know what to do with it. So this has to go. Then here I have my standard eyeshadow brushes. So these are all like paddle shaped standard eyeshadow brushes. This is the one I use on a daily basis. This is the Sigma E55, and I love this brush. I use it every day, like I said, for my lid color. So keeping that. And then I have a couple of brushes that do something very similar. Or is it the E25? Now this is the E55, and this is an travel-sized E25, and I do really like this brush, so I want to keep that. And then I have a Sephora and Hema brush, and these are the ones that I used to use before I had the Sigma one. And I do have to say that these are really nice brushes. I'm going to keep the Hema one and throw away the Sephora one because that one is a lot older and has seen a lot more wear, and this is a bit more new, and I can use this if the other one is a little bit too dirty. I have a backup. And then this brush, a friend of mine got me, but I find it a little bit too stiff. This might be good for cream shadow, but I have other brushes that I'm about to show you that I prefer for applying cream shadow. So this is gonna go. So then we have a few brushes left. This one should have probably gone into my face product stash, but this is another up and up brush, and where I like the Real Techniques setting brush for applying concealer, I actually love this brush for applying powder to my under eye area. So if I do want to do some serious baking, or if I really want to use more of a brightening powder underneath my eyes or loose powder, then this is the brush that I go for. So I'm definitely going to be keeping that. And then I have my one and only brow bone highlight brush, and this is the Sonia Kashuk 203. You can find these at Target in the US, and I love this brush. And then I have my brushes for cream eyeshadow that I love. This is a Sigma P82, and what this is a little kabuki brush, and this is great for applying paint pots or like more dense shadows, whatever it is that you want to do. So this is a great one. And then I have 2 of the Bold Metals by, that's what they called, Bold Metals by Real Techniques. And this one is again really great for applying cream shadow because these are synthetic. This is also really nice for more shimmery paint pots, I find. And this is really nice for like packing on a product onto the lid. So if you want to use something with glitter or anything like this, you don't have to be too afraid that you will ruin these brushes because they pretty much clean up very nicely because they are so smooth and dense and all that. So well, then here I have my 3 little brushes that I like to do when I want to do a very perfect lip look. This is my lip brush. I only have one. This is by Hema. And then these 2 brushes I like to use to clean up my lip line. So this is a little precision brush, accent brush by Real Techniques. And this is great for like going like along your lip line. And this is great for like using a little bit of concealer around the lips as well. And this is the lip concealer brush by The Body Shop. And then in this section over here, we have some eyeliner brushes and some more like paddle brush style eyeshadow brushes. So these are all liner brushes, and I have to say that I like 3 of these and 2 of these I don't like at all. The Sigma brushes I love, and the other 2 I don't. So we already have that shift. This is pretty much the same brush, but one is more of a travel size and the other one is a normal size. This is the Sigma E05 brush, and I actually like the smaller one better because it just gives you a little bit more control. So if I go for a cream gel liner look, then this is the one that I love to use. And if I want to go for something a bit more subtle and I just want to dab some eyeliner on my lash line, I use the Flat Definer E15 by Sigma. So that's a great one too. And then these 2 I'm getting rid of. This was in that action set, but I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's a little bit too thick for eyeliner. And I just don't really know what to do with this. It's just a little too dense and thick. This is a Zoeva brush. This is the Fine Liner 315. And while this is a great brush, the little dent in it just doesn't really work for me. And it's also doesn't really go into a point very well. So if you want to apply eyeliner with this, it's great for all over the lid, but you can't really do a wing with this, I find. And then these 3 brushes, last but not least, these are my like paddle style brushes, as I said. This is the Sonia Kashuk one. This is the 106, and this is great for packing on color into like the outer V if you want to go for something super smoky, so I love that. This was my very first eyeshadow brush, which is probably why I hung on to it, because I'm a bit of a nostalgia geek. And this is the eyeshadow brush by The Body Shop. This is a little bit too stiff, but again, for really packing on like glitter or anything, since this is an older brush, I don't care if I ruin it. So this is a brush that I like to keep for that. And then this is a nice little synthetic brush. Again, if I want to do something a little bit more crazy and I need a brush that I can ruin, then this one by Hema is definitely one that can do that. So I'm going to be keeping all 3. And that's it, you guys. Let me see if I can show you what I'm getting rid of. These are all the brushes that I'm going to get rid of. There's some sponges here and some face brushes. As you can see, I had a little bit too much, and I just feel a little bit better now that I have a more edited down version of this brush collection. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe because I make new videos every single week. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!